Welcome back to Human Resources for the People. It's a human capital revolution. Today, we're going to be talking about a new change that may be coming to Connecticut law. This one is from Ford Harrison, and it's a pretty interesting one. So, right now, the Connecticut General Assembly is considering a law that would allow women to be exempt from the candidate physical ability test, which is a standard that is used by fire departments across the country. Right now, only about 15% of women pass, and it's a pretty tough test. I've actually seen a lot of firefighters take this test. It's one that is really difficult. They have to wear a 50-pound vest. They have to run a lot, and it's supposed to simulate navigating a fire in heavy gear. It's really important and is sort of when we define as HR people, when we define a job, we look at the essential functions, and they're effectively the essential functions of a job from a physical and mental standpoint. This allows fire departments to sort of sort out whether or not someone is able to do a test like this, and are able to survive in a fire. So it's called the candidate physical ability test. It's pretty standard, and now it looks like Connecticut is considering a law to get rid of it. Obviously, the risk here is that it will endanger Connecticut residents by, potentially putting people in positions that cannot physically do the job. And it will kind of, by lowering this, it will continue to cause issues where male firefighters may sort of assume that female firefighters cannot actually cut it, and that can cause a lot of issues in the firehouse. Fire departments are really strange from a HR perspective. They live together often. They stay together. They can cause drama with and for each other. And you don't have that sort of fundamental living situation in many, if not all, HR setups, right? The only comparable that I can think of off the top of my head is a soldier. And this isn't the first time, and that's kind of interesting. So in 2003, the New Haven Fire Department had to throw out the results of a written exam after all of the black firefighters who took it did not score high enough for promotion. And the union president is the one who fought against it, and they threw it out. The state supreme court ruled 5-4 that the New Haven had violated anti-discrimination law. And you I understand this, right? I understand there is a precedence, right, for putting requirements on people that don't actually make the job. There's actually a very famous case in HR law. I believe it's Duke Power versus Griggs, in which in which Duke Power required a high school test to um, dig ditches effectively, and that was obviously not the necessity, right? You don't need a high school diploma to dig ditches, and it was to discriminate. So that can happen. Putting onerous requirements on people, onerous hurdles on them in order for them to take a certain position is discriminatory or can be discriminatory. And the Connecticut General Assembly is attempting to eliminate that by eliminating the candidate physical ability test. Um, the problem I have with that is obviously it's used across the country, so I am going to assume that it accurately describes and is a good descriptor of the sort of challenges that firefighters face in their daily work. I don't know that to be a fact, but I imagine that it does. But if it doesn't, then yes, it should be scrapped or modified, so as it doesn't discriminate. But I tend to think it probably does. In 2020, President Trump signed an executive order directing the federal government to decrease emphasis on whether or not a job candidate has a college degree and to increase valuation of an applicant's job skill and life experiences. I agree with this to a degree. I actually agree with this. However, the problem is that the more that you take out sort of a verifiable function, right, something that is easily, um, verified and defined and everything else, and the more that you sort of create life experiences and job skills, it creates an issue where employees there's no real standards, and that can cause discrimination in and of itself, and that's the worry here, I think. When you start sort of throwing out statistics and specific numbers and metrics and just sort of create a slow blob, you get a really messy result. uh, what do you think below? Is this something that you think will have value? Will it create a good value in Connecticut, and will it sort of go across the country? Will we have firefighters that may not be up to the physical task? Let me know what you think down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.